Hello and welcome to Conscious TV. My name is Ian McNay, and today we're going to talk about homeopathy and consciousness. And I have with me Julian Carlyon in the studio, and Julian has written a book called Understating Homeopathy, Understanding. So we've partly covered some of this book, and we're also going to talk about your life, Julian, and how you got to be where you are in terms of the inside and the outside. So, just very briefly, what is homeopathy? Very briefly.
Homeopathy is based on the principle of similarity, that there is a substance in nature which can kind of meet your condition. One wants to match the symptoms of a particular substance. It could be a mineral, it could be a plant, it could be an animal. With your own symptoms. So homeopathy attempts to kind of address what is there by fully recognizing it and embracing it. And that is the basis of its curative ability. It's like it gives you more of what already is, rather than opposes what already is. And that's one might say that's also a kind of fundamental philosophy of life, to embrace what is, to embrace everything that arises rather than to oppose what arises. And we spend a lot of time kind of opposing parts of ourselves. So we live in a kind of polarized state, in a kind of dual state. Whereas the fundamentals of homeopathy are unifying. They say that the homeopathy says that your state of being is a unified state, and we can see your symptoms as a unified picture. And if we can understand that picture, if we can understand that totality, and give something which is similar to that totality, then we can take the first steps from freeing you from that condition, to free you from that place where you are identified, where you are fixed, where you are stuck. So I'd say that's the sort of fundamentals of homeopathy, to recognize that your symptoms of distress, on whatever level that they arise, are symptoms of your state of fixation, your state of being identified with yourself as something in particular, rather than as a free-flowing form of being, of energy.
It sounds very similar to the journey in consciousness itself, that you're freeing yourself up from your conditioning, from the things that you're not happy with and are holding you back.
Yes, I mean that's intrinsic to homeopathy, that whatever you're complaining of, whatever your form your distress is taking, whatever form your symptoms are taking, they are a manifestation of somehow where the river has got stuck. And we could go further into that and look at how things get stuck, why things get stuck, and that immediately relates it to consciousness, the way that consciousness emerges, the way that you have a sense of being a separate being, and the way that you then hold to and reject, hold to parts of yourself, reject parts of yourself, and so then live in a kind of sort of according to an image or according to a kind of identity. But life, that isn't life. That's somehow you getting a hold of something and saying, I am this. And this happens through upbringing, it happens from birth onwards. So homeopathy is one way of beginning to kind of unpick that and saying, well, actually, no, you're not that. Actually, you're that free energy being which took on this set of clothes which took on this body.
Yes.
And manifested in this way. So it relates very much to the fundamental teachings of non-duality, which says that it's through becoming identified with your body-mind that you become imprisoned. So homeopathy is really kind of looking at the same thing from a slightly different angle and saying, yes, it's the way in which you become identified with certain aspects of yourself that creates this sort of jamming up of the works, this fixation, where the natural cycle of life, the natural unfolding of life, the natural ebb and flow of life can't, well, it always does run, but it runs with more difficulty, if that makes sense, because you've kind of put the sense of I has kind of put a spanner in the works. And of course we can't escape this sense of I. This sense of I comes with being born. But we can gradually begin to sort of disidentify with it and know that we are a state of freedom.
It's like becoming whole again, isn't it? Somehow
yes.
We lose connection with who we really are and what, let's say, reality really is, or the universe is, or consciousness is, and we get in our own little world somehow and try and make it work for us.
Yes.
And it seems that homeopathy, from what you're explaining, is a process of letting that drop away to try and, I think you used the word vital force a few times in your book.
Yeah.
Find our vital force again.
Yeah. That was Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy. That was his term for the kind of underlying energy that is imbuing everything. It's the creative energy within everything. I mean, the acupuncturists call it chi. You might call it chi, you might call it prana. Hahnemann told it, following on a kind of Western tradition, chose to call it the vital force. It's the energy field. It is the organizing principle. It's the principle that gives you the pattern of who you are. It's the principle, the pattern that means an acorn becomes an oak tree.
Acorn becomes an oak tree.
Yes,
Okay,
that information is enfolded within the acorn, which means that in the unpacking of that information, in the unpacking of that vital force, it will unfold into what it is to be. And you could say that we all come into the world as acorns. And
it's like a potential.
A potential, exactly. And we are all here to unfold our potential. I mean, and immediately we have a problem with language, like saying, I'm unfolding my potential. Well, I'm not, but my potential is unfolding.
Yes,
and there is a sense of I-ness in that. But that sense of I-ness from infancy onwards wants to try and get in on the act and have some kind of control over the process. And there is the root of the dis-ease, if you like. The root of dis-ease.
Yes.
And the way out is to realize that we are not the one that is doing that, but that it is kind of happening by itself, but that we are here to kind of attend and give our love and absolute attention to that process. In other words, become what you are. Become what you are, love what you are. Because that's what you were here to be. That is the perfection unfolding at this particular moment. You came with your particular potential to unfold. I came with my particular potential to unfold. And the more we kind of get out of the way, the more capacity that potential has to unfold. So, yeah, love it. Be it and love it. Be it and love it.